Hello, welcome to another cross group match in week one. Here we have the Mesagoza Magic versus the Baltimore Throat Choppers. And just looking at the teams a little bit, I think this is Morgram's first game. And Morgram, I think he only came to one game in the previous tournament as well. And I was very surprised by how much that thing can live when it puts up screens. Because it was like non-EV, it was light clay. Morgram took like 3 steel moves. I was amazed. So I'll see if it can do something like that again. And it's a pretty common theme here from Mesago's Magic. I think these six have been their main picks for most, if not all, matches. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens here. Go play. I am on normal speed. Let's switch that to slow. We do see an Entei and Tentacruel lead from the Mesagoza Magic. And then I'll be into a Walking Wake and Incineroar, who's going to try to intimidate and going to be blocked by both Clear Body and Inner Focus, not actually doing anything as Entei Terras into water. Fake Out going into Tentacle, knowing that Inner Focus is going to block that, and Flip Turn going into Entei, knowing you can't really damage Tentacruel as Galarian Slowking comes out. Tentacruel, of course, flinch from the Fake Out as Bulldoze hits the field, doing a pretty decent damage to everything. Clear Body, stopping the speed drop and weakness policy activating, so Tentacruel now becoming a pretty big threat. Drought coming out to probably stop a water move here, as Money Water still going to do about 47% to Torkoal. Stomping Tantrum hits. Cloaking, who is going to survive and put up the Trick Room, putting those fast Pokemon at a disadvantage here. Alolan Ninetales coming out to reset the weather, so Torkoal can't take advantage of the sun, as Slowking protects. Torkoal is going to Earth Power into Alolan Ninetales, doing very little damage as Bulldoze comes out once again. Not doing a ton of damage, but dropping the speed, which will cause Torkoal to go out because it is a jetpack is shown. Ooh, so that's not good. Although you do get the sun back up now as Torkoal hits the field once again. And Hariyama will go, so making sure you get that snow at some point. Darkest Lariat going into Entei, doing a bit of damage, but not a ton. Bulldoze coming out, dropping the speed of everything. Except for Hariyama, so I guess that's probably Clear Amulet. Fake Out going into Torkoal, making sure it can't make use of this turn of Trick Room. And it might die like another Bulldoze. Darkest Lariat coming out again. As, yep, it is another Bulldoze. Can't say I've ever seen Bulldoze Entei before, but it's certainly working out here. As Slowking does come out with that Regenerator healing it. Ninetales swapping back in to set up the snow again. As Psyshock goes into Hariyama, yep, not going to take that very well. Another Darkest Lariat, Ninetales will take that pretty well. As Trick Room ends, so these fast Pokemon are certainly going to enjoy that as Tentacruel comes back out. Unfortunately, Wage Policy has already been used, and Terra Blast comes out. I wonder if they meant to Terra before doing that. But yeah, Money Water will take the KO on Incineroar either way. As Psyshock goes into Tentacruel, putting us to a 2v2 of Alolan Ninetales and Entei versus Walking Wake and Slowking. Honestly, a pretty even matchup here. As long as, does Flamethrower kill here? It is Aqua Berry, so no, it's not going to KO. It might be KO'd either way, actually, as Freeze Dry. I cannot believe that Walking Wake lived that. But unfortunately, Slowking does die to Stomping Tantrum, and I'm not sure Walking Wake has a spread move to take out both. Yep, it'll just Flamethrower to take out the Alolan Ninetales, and Entei will pick up the kill with Stomping. Very, very, very close match. But it will go to the Mesagoza Magic and take us to a Game 2. Alright, so here we are at Game 2. It was a very, very close Game 1, but I think a lot of good swaps are made on the Mesagoza Magic side. You're constantly swapping into, resists. Like, if Mr. would have gone for, Flare Blitz instead of Darkest Lariat on the Alolan Ninetales one I can remember, it would have, probably insta-killed it. But yeah, so it's just knowing what your opponent's going to do. Maybe you have to make some predictions if you're the Baltimore Thornton, you see, well, he keeps swapping into Pokemon that resist, so maybe I click maybe not the most optimal move of the Pokemon in front of me, but of who they might have in the back. So yeah. And Torkoal being a jetpack, being sent out during Trick Room, also not the best. Allow you to reset up the sun, but Torkoal really didn't get to do anything in this game, and he loves to be in Trick Room. So yeah, we'll see any adaptations made. Dragapult is led with Hariyama, so fake out pressure with could be screen, could be damage. Dragapult's always really difficult to deal with as Morgrim and Walking Wake come out. Ninetales is going to immediately swap in. Yeah, Dragapult was in a bit of a rough spot with these Pokemon. A Terra Fairy comes out, so Terra is used as Fake Out goes into Hariyama, possibly before it can Fake Out. I don't know who's faster between those two, and Terra Blast goes into the Alolan Ninetales. Tanks it pretty well, though. As Reflect comes up from the Morgrim side, Terra Blast going into Hariyama, gonna immediately KO it. Hariyama not being super especially tanky, and the Alolan Ninetales Rain Dances. I guess that's to set up the Tentacruel? Fake Tears going into Alolan Ninetales, though, gonna drop that special defense by quite a bit. Freeze Dry going into Slowking, not doing a ton. Muddy Water misses Slowking, not what you want to see. And yeah, there's Morgan once again just absolutely tanking a move in the rain. Much tanky I think he is. Dragon Ball coming out again. Muddy Water once again misses a Pokemon, doing a little bit of damage to Slowking. Draining Kiss gonna heal Morgan almost back up to full once it hits the Dragapult. And Psyshock going to hit Tentacruel, activating its weakness policy, making those Muddy Waters hit even harder. Dragapult will Terra into Flying as he goes for Phantom Force. Immediately charges to the Power Herb, although the Slowking survives, but Muddy Water comes out, not going to survive that one. So what Morgrim goes for here, another Draining Kiss into the Dragapult, slowly whittling it down. And Walking Wake will hit the field once again. As it goes for Flip Turn, possibly expecting another swap, but no swap comes as Cerulege hits the field, which could be bad if another Muddy Water happens. Acrobatics goes into it. It is Sludge Bomb instead. So yeah, fully predicting, them to go for a poison move into that slot against the Fairy. Draining Kiss will KO... what's his name? Dragapult. Ninetales going to set Snow once again, and now it is a 2v3. Shadow Sneak just barely not picking up the KO on Tentacruel. As Rain Dance once again happens, and I'm assuming Muddy Water, yep. Morgan moving with 1% HP though, and that might be pretty big as another screen can come up. Draining Kiss not doing a ton of damage. Walking Wake will hit the field. Fake Tears going into a Alolan Ninetales once again, as Hydro Steam hits Tentacruel. And Freeze Dry with Morgrim, but yeah, with half special defense, I don't think you live pretty much anything from Walking Wake here. And it is faster than you, so yeah, Hydro Steam will come out and take the KO. So yeah, those pretty good adaptations. Now, there's a lot of different Pokemon brought here. The screens, I think, definitely helped a little bit there from the Morgrim. A couple pretty decent switches from the Baltimore Throat Choppers to allow them to pick up the second game. And, of course, with them both being at 1 win, that takes us to our third game. So yeah, I think the weakness policy, Tentacruel, I might see that be left behind, because even though it was, weakness policy boosted, it still wasn't doing a ton of damage. And I think like the main person to hit for a bunch of damage was Cerulege, but it does hit the 3 fire types on the team for super effective, so that's probably just what you're banking on it, but if they can get around it, it doesn't really matter. So Entei will come out with Meowstic this time, who is a new Pokemon this match, as Walking Wake hits the field with Torkoal. So immediately going to set up the Sun for the Photosynthesis and his Photosynthesis special attack. Entei immediately swapping out into Tentacruel, so it was brought this turn as Rain Dance, gonna take off Photosynthesis, and Flip Turn going into Tentacruel. So predicting Entei is going to swap, not Terra this time, and Morgrim will hit the field. Overheat in the rain, not doing a ton of damage, but it is going to cause Torkoal to swap out. And Incineroar is hitting the field. The main attack Meowstic, not going to really matter. And of course, Clear Body stopping utility on Tentacruel. Fake Out going into the Tentacruel, who shows Covert Cloak as... Oh, no, that was Meowstic. I'm so sorry. No, Tentacruel was not Covert Cloak. Meowstic put up the screen, and then took a Darkest Lariat, but with the Reflect, allowed it to live. Sun back out now as Torkoal hits the screen, and Lightstream will come up from Meowstic. Tentacruel starts setting up defense boosts. Meowstic has been KO, but it's kind of done its job at this point to set up the screens, and now another Pokemon can take advantage of those screens. That Pokemon will be Hariyama, putting Fake Out pressure as well. Morgrim will hit the field once again. That's Muddy Water. Is that a double miss? That's not what you want to see. And Drain Punch will go into Morgrim, doing a decent amount of damage. Earth Power will hit Tentacle, but yeah, Weakness Policy, that's gonna double the attack and special attack of Pokemon who's now set up. Fake Tears, yeah, doesn't work against Tentacruel. That's a Dazzling Gleams. Not enough to pick up the KO on Morgrim, though. Drain Punch will, though. And I guess just like another Earth Power. Yep, another Earth Power into Tentacruel. You need to take care of this thing sooner rather than later. Incineroar will hit the field again. And there is the clear amulet there, stopping Hariyama. Fake Out going into Tentacruel. Stop it from moving this turn. Drain Punch going into Incineroar, doing a lot of damage there. This Hariyama is just kind of sitting on the field doing a lot. Earth Power, you need one more of those to KO. And is it Light Clay? It is Light Clay Meowstic, so Reflect will be for 3 more turns. Light Screen for 4. Walking Wake will swap in as Muddy Water hits Torkoal for 50%. Ow. Drain Punch going into Walking Wake. Yeah, just clicking Drain Punch in that slot, doing a bunch of damage. Tentacruel is finally eliminated, but now you have a lot of highly damaged Pokemon, and you still have to deal with a full health Entei and Hariyama. I'm honestly not sure they can do it, especially as this Entei tears into water. Very good here. Torkoal will protect as Flip Turn goes into Entei. Incineroar will come out, but Intimidate has been fully stopped. I think this entire game, every Pokemon has just had an answer to Intimidate. Stomping Tantrum goes into it to KO it. Torkoal will not be able to accept a Sun again. Walking Wake will hit the field. You still have 2 more turns of Reflect, which are going to be a little rough, because I think this Hariyama lives Terra Blast now. Yeah, actually quite handily with the Light Screen boost. Tommy Tantrum going into Walking Wake at Headlong Rush will take the KO. And I'm going to say it, I don't think Torkoal has the offensive power to KO Entei, yeah, especially with Light Screen up. Stomping Tantrum. Not going to take the KO, but whatever Hariyama is going to do here, we'll certainly do it. Yep, another Headlong Rush. I think it'd do a little bit more than 2%, you know? So yeah, those screens becoming pretty much essential here as it allowed his team to live a lot of good moves and, not showing that till the end. If your opponent think, oh, maybe he's not going to bring Meowstic, bring it at the end, and then use that to sweep. So yeah, good game to both players. It goes 2-1 to Mesagoza Magic, though.